Brand podcast. I'm your host, Amy Dardis. And today we're diving into the third pillar of the Clear Authentic Brand framework, accountability. So if you've been following along, we're just going to recap real quick. We have already talked about the first two pillars. There are three total. So the first one was clarity. That is the foundation that defines who you are, why you exist, how you operate, and what you do. It is the thing we must have first. It's what we build everything else on top of. So we always have to start with clarity. And then that second pillar is alignment. So alignment is the bridge that takes clarity from being just words on paper or an idea in your head to being lived out in reality through your people, your processes, and your messaging. It's really what brings your brand to life. And then we have this third pillar, which is accountability. And so accountability is really what protects this and maintains that alignment over the long term. This is the thing that keeps everything front and center. It keeps it intentional. It keeps it aligned and purposeful in order to build trust and loyalty, credibility, and purpose-driven growth. Because the foundation is important. We have to go through those things. How we build it matters. But it really becomes this discipline of protecting it day in and day out. And that's really where the danger happens. That's where the downfall happens. And so today we're going to dive into what we do to prevent that. So without accountability, even the clearest vision and the best alignment will eventually slip. And that is because we are human and we are broken and we live in a fallen world and none of us are perfect. So this is just making sure that we are holding ourselves accountable to the commitment and the standards that we first set out. And that takes discipline. It takes a commitment to do it. But by doing that accountability is what's going to create consistency in our actions, in our behaviors, in how we show up. It's going to build that trust and credibility over time. And really, that's what ends up building loyalty. It builds something we believe in. It builds impact. And that's really what we're here to do. Or that's what we want to be able to do with our business, is to bless the lives of the people that we get to interact with, that we get to make a difference. And that only happens through consistency. So this isn't about micromanagement. Accountability is really about just building in standards and rhythms so that you can keep your business from drifting off, because that's what happens. Is it's a slow drift. And we'll dive more into that in a little bit. But what happens when we don't have accountability is that drift is going to happen. That misalignment slowly creeps back in. And it is slowly. It's one tiny decision at a time, which is why we don't feel the impact of it right away. And so little by little by little, employees and even ourselves as leaders, we start to drift away from what we first identified as being important and being authentic and being the mission that we set out to accomplish. And it's these tiny little decisions over time. It's the little compromises that are eventually what is eroding trust, and it's creating dysfunction. And it always happens from the inside out. And because your employees, yourself, you're going to experience that first. They're going to see it. And it's those tiny little decisions where they see that, oh, wow, we said that we value this, but then this decision didn't reflect that. It starts to plant those seeds of distrust, those seeds of like, well, does what we say even matter? And it kind of cuts the legs out from under you, but it doesn't happen all at once. It just happens a little bit at a time until one day you wake up and you look at your team and you look at your business and you're just like, what happened? Like, what did I create? You know, and this happens in relationships. It happens in marriages all the time. And it definitely happens in businesses. Like, this is the downfall, I think, of businesses. This is how the titans in our industries fall. It's never, or it's not to say never, it's very rarely one big decision. It's almost always these little tiny decisions over time that led to just the final straw that broke the camel's back, right? So this accountability is us recognizing our own inabilities, our own shortcomings. It's understanding that we are not bulletproof. Even with the best intentions, like, we do have to build in structures, we have to build in habits, we have to build in routines that are going to help us stay consistent, that are going to help us stay on this path. So there are 3 core areas of this accountability pillar, and they are to measure, maintain, and address. So this first one of measuring, we have to be able to measure alignment, right? So accountability is just basically making sure that we're continuing to stay aligned within our people, our process, and our messaging. And so in order to make sure that we're staying aligned, we have to be able to measure it. We have to be able to say, well, how do we know that this person is aligned, or this process is aligned, or this decision is aligned, unless we have something tangible, something concrete that we can actually throw it up against. And so in order to do this, the biggest area you're going to have alignment in is always going to be your people, because people are what drive the business. People are what drive decision making. People are what drive processes. So if we want to have good processes and good messaging, we have to first start with good people. And by good, I mean aligned, because I think everybody is good in their own unique and beautiful way. But what's important is knowing that the people who are in your organization are aligned with how your brand operates, how your brand shows up, what your brand believes. And it's just impossible for that to work for everybody. And it's not because yours is bad. It's because we're all created different and unique, and God has a plan and purpose for all of it. And so we need to find the areas where we are going to be able to thrive. And so that's why it helps for us as a brand to be able to clarify that first, so that people know what they're getting into. And then they have to have these expectations that are met. So when it comes to measuring, we want to first measure alignment within a candidate, within an interview process. So we will create like a form or a checklist that actually holds it up to what we defined within our brand clarity phase, which is, okay, so we have our core values, we have our working style, we have our personality traits, we have our non-negotiables, and we have the natural like capacity and gifting that is needed to excel in the role itself. So we have to first in the interview process be able to look at this person and say, does this person align with our values? Does this person align with our working style? Does this person align with the personality traits that are needed in order to thrive here? And does this person have any possible red flags that would be an issue when it comes to the things that we say no to, the things that we don't have any room for in our specific organization? So right there, that is the very first time that you're actually measuring alignment, is before you ever even bring them on board. The next time you're going to like measure it is going to be like when you start training them, when you bring them through this onboarding process, is once again, you're instilling these values, you're instilling these messaging, you're letting them know these are the standards that we hold our people to, and this is how often, and this is when. So the good rule of thumb for that is at least always on a quarterly basis. You are looking at your people, you are having conversations, you are connecting with them, and then annually doing an even more in-depth kind of assessment, because we're people and we change and we grow and we develop and life changes. And so that's why, like, we have to continue to address this. We have to keep having these conversations, because a person doesn't stay the same from the day that you hire them to, I don't know, anytime after that. Like we change as people and as individuals, and that's good. But it also requires this level of attention and intentionality to know that we have to keep having these conversations. We have to keep revisiting and just making sure that we're on the same page. And within these conversations, annually and quarterly, we are looking at the same criteria. So that's the beauty of this, right? Is once we get into this accountability phase, it's really not as daunting as it might sound, because you're holding them up to the exact same standards that you already clarified, you already set within clarifying your own brand, and then also interviewing them and hiring them to begin with. So we're not recreating the wheel. We're not even really creating drastically different forms or checklists. It's really the same. We're just making sure that we're continuing to visit it on a regular basis. And so that really does set the tone so that an employee knows what's expected of them. They know whether or not they're doing a good job and they're living up to these expectations, not only in their job performance, which most businesses, that's the easy one to define, is the KPIs and the results and the numbers, and those are all tangible things, and they're good because we need tangible things, but we have to have the same tangible things when it comes to behavior and motivations and how we show up every day and our attitudes, and whether we're behaving and operating the way that we set out, the way that we defined is the way that we operate. So we're clear on that from the very beginning, from the interview process, into the onboarding process, into our regular quarterly conversations, into our annual performance reviews. It's just looking at the whole picture, not just did you hit your numbers or did you make your sales goals. It's did you operate, did you show up each and every day and behave the way that we need you to, the way that our business operates, because that's really what ends up dictating the teamwork, the cohesiveness, the trust, your team's ability to perform and collaborate together as one cohesive unit that works, not just separate individuals all doing their own thing and being held to either different standards or no standards. So that ends up leading us into this second core aspect, which is maintaining. And so those are the systems and the rhythms that we just implement in order to keep this alignment alive. So the first way we do that is in a weekly team meeting. So your team should always meet every week, whether you have a team of 5 or 10 or 20 and you break it down into different departments. Your team should always collectively be meeting together. One, just because it's a way to touch base and cover, the tactical and operational parts of the business, to make sure, who's on vacation this week, who's covering this project, where are we at with this. But the other big part of weekly team meetings is it is a really easy and effective way to build your team relationships, to build your team trust. Like, you have to be intentional about bringing people together. And it's more about doing the little things more often than it is about doing big things. Like one summer company barbecue or one Christmas party a year, it doesn't have the same weight as what you do day in, day out, or week in, week out. So having a weekly team meeting where you bring everybody together, and within that meeting structure, you are implementing processes and conversations into how the meeting runs so that you're facilitating team relationships, you're facilitating connections, because that you have to be intentional about that. And there are so many parallels to marriage, I feel like, when it comes to business. And the things that you have to do, like as a husband and a wife, to be able to like make sure you're continually on the same page. Like celebrating your anniversary once a year is not the level of attention that your marriage needs as just checking in once a week, or having intentional quality time together, or saying I love you every day, not just like a couple times a year, you know? So how we structure our weekly team meetings is incredibly important. And one of my biggest pieces of advice here, and this comes from the book Traction by Gino Wickman, is to start your meeting with a personal best and a business best, or one or the other. If you can only do one, depending on the size of your team and the time that you have, do a personal best. Business bests are great, but personal bests are even better because it allows people to continue to get to know each other, be aware of what's going on in each other's lives, and just remember that we're all human and that our lives outside of work matter. So start your meeting where you go around and everybody just shares a quick win highlight from like personal life and business life if you have time. And this way we get to celebrate each other, we get to have fun, and it is a way better way to start your meeting than just jumping right into whatever the plan is for the week. Like I guarantee you it makes the meetings themselves are more fun. They're more interesting, and people actually look forward to them because you start to see this like camaraderie and this joking and this laughing and this encouragement, like this like lifting each other up and being like, hey, that's awesome, great job, because we all need that. So if you've never tried that, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you implement that into your meetings. Try it out one time, see what happens. The first time you do it, your team's going to be like, what? Like, what are we doing? But keep doing it. They'll love it. They'll learn so much about each other. You will learn so much about them. And it takes no time. I mean, it takes 5 to 10 minutes of your meeting, depending on how big your team is, but it is so worth it. And you will get the effects of that back in spades when it comes to teamwork and trust and the way that your people interact with each other. It's awesome. So outside of your weekly team meetings, the other ways that we maintain this like accountability, which is again, keeping our values and our standards and what matters to us front and center. Like that is the whole mindset behind this, is how do we keep it front and center without just like, oh, some posters on the wall, which, hey, put posters on your wall. Like have a visual reminder that says, this is what we believe in. This is what matters to us. But it can't just be words on a wall. It has to be ingrained into how you actually do business, which is why we want to structure team meetings the way that we do. We also want to build it into our employee check-ins. So whenever you have a new employee, I do highly recommend doing a 30, 60, 90-day check-in. and having like a form, and I say form very loosely, like I don't want it to sound very formal. I say form in the sense that it's literally just a guide for what you make sure you cover with them when you chat with them, which is like, hey, here's the expectations that we have of our people, and this is how I see you living those things out. We value these things in our organization, and I see you living it out in this way, and you're in alignment with that, and I just want you to know that. And how do you feel about that? Like, you're calling it out in their behavior, in their attitude, and you're having conversations around how's the work style, vibe. Like, are you stressed out by it? Are you thriving in it? Is it uncomfortable for you? You should be like calling attention to this thing. Like the first and last time that they hear about work style, personality traits, core values, non-negotiables should not be in their interview process. It should be in the 30, 60, 90-day check-ins with like a new hire, but also in quarterly conversations and annual performance reviews that you have with your team. Which the reason I am such a big proponent of quarterly conversations is if you just change your mindset towards it being this idea of once a quarter, 4 times a year, I'm going to sit down with my employees, with my team, and I'm going to have a real conversation with them about who they are, their life, what's going on, what they're doing well. 4 times a year, we're going to focus like on them as an individual, on them as a team player, on them as a contributor, instead of just talking about the tactical, oh, hey, did you get this done? Cover this guy on Tuesday. Can you order more supplies for this project? Like it's just you're being intentional. You're choosing to be intentional about it. And then by building it into your outline or your form or your template that you use for these conversations. And again, you don't have to like fill it out and write it down. Like the point is to just have the conversation. It's to take the time and tell them, look, like you are in alignment with how we operate. And I see it come to life in these ways. And I appreciate these traits about you and how this attitude or these behaviors or these values that you have come and played a part in how we operate in our business and how we treat our customers. I see you rising up and developing in these areas, like as a person, because this is their time that they are giving to you. These are their skills. This is so much of their life that they are contributing to your business, to your organization. And that time, it should not be wasted. It should not be taken for granted. It should not be devalued, because like time is the most precious thing that we have. It is limited. It is unknown. None of us ever knows like when our last day is. And if God has given us these gifts and he's given us this time here on earth, then we want to be using it and living it out to the best of our ability, to our full potential, to really make an impact in the lives of the people around us. And if they're choosing it to do that in your business, in your workplace, that is a responsibility, that is an honor, that is a privilege. And that's something that like first and foremost matters more than anything else, because it's also the catalyst for how your business ends up succeeding, how your business ends up performing, how your business ends up serving. And so just taking that time, those conversations each year, and again, just bringing up this, the what do we value? What's our purpose? What's our mission? How do I see this coming to life, and calling it out and recognizing it? It keeps it front and center. So with that, we're looking at it on a weekly basis in our team meetings. We're looking at it on a quarterly basis, and we're looking at it on an annual basis. And then annually, you should have some level of strategic planning. Whether you follow the whole EOS framework and you do plan quarterly as well as annually and 3 years out, or maybe you just set goals for the year. However you make decisions about how you're going to grow and how you're going to move forward, pulling out your brand profile, pulling out your core values, pulling out your unique differentiators, just continuing to review those at least on an annual basis. It brings it up again to be like, oh yeah, like we're going to make this decision because of these factors, and we're going to filter it through, well, this is what makes us unique. And if we make this decision, it's going to just help us hone in on that more. Or maybe you're going to say, yeah, we can't make this decision because it's going to draw us away from our purpose. It's going to draw us away from our mission. And that's going to dilute our brand authenticity. It's going to dilute our ability to build trust and loyalty with our customers and our employees. And that's going to hurt our brand in the long run. And so we can't go through with it. It doesn't make sense. So we're using these filters to make decisions, to move forward, to say yes or to say no. And that's how it ends up like coming up again and again and again instead of just one time. And if you have forms or templates for this, it just makes it easier. It just makes it so much easier to be like, oh, this is how we structure these conversations every quarter. These are the things that we cover. And it's so we don't forget. It's so we don't drift. And when we have that in mind, it's like when you're trying to lose weight or be healthy or go to the gym more, you know that if you have healthy food prepped at home, it's going to help you make better decisions. It's going to help you stay consistent. Whereas if you're in this situation and your pantry is filled with cookies and ice cream and chips and a bunch of, junk food, you're setting yourself up to like make compromises, to make worse decisions. And you don't want to do that to yourself as a person, sorry. And you don't want to do that to your business. And so it's like your business needs those same like safeguards, those things to just like catch you and say, hey, remember, this is what makes us who we are. This is what makes us authentic. This is what our customers and our employees have come to value and believe about us. And we want to honor that. And we want to continue with that. We don't want to compromise it. We don't want to risk it. And so when we have that mindset about maintaining alignment, it's less about, oh, well, here's another, framework, or here's another form it just seems silly. It's like, oh no, this is why we do this. And I know that in the end, it really does make a difference because it keeps me from sliding. And so the third thing that we have to do is addressing. And so addressing is addressing misalignment because, like I said, we're human and none of us are perfect, and misalignment will happen. Like it will happen. And it can happen for a bunch of different reasons, which we'll dive into in future episodes. But if you hire someone at the beginning and you know they're aligned, and then you continue to have these quarterly conversations and annual, performance reviews, you're basically just, you're making sure that they're continuing to be aligned. But these are people, and this is life, and we grow, we develop, we change, sometimes the work changes. Sometimes like the business itself starts to move in a different direction, and an individual finds a new passion or a new direction, or something happens in their life that, changes their mindset on some things. And you'll have times where you'll have misalignment, or you'll make a mistake and you'll hire someone that you shouldn't have. And because it was just easier to hire this person who fit 80% of the way than to hold out for someone who fit 100% of the way. And then you'll deal with those fires down the road because of that. But either way, you're going to have times where you're going to have to address misalignment, and how you deal with it matters. Like the fact that you address it matters. So one, it's that you do address it, because if you allow misalignment to continue to exist in your organization, it will basically just undercut all of the work that you've put in to getting clear and aligned in the first place. And your people are watching you, and they're not just watching what you say, they're watching what you do. And they're going to know if you have people on your team who aren't living up to the same standards. They're watching you, they're watching them, and it's changing their thoughts, and their thoughts are going to change their own behaviors and their own actions. And even if they don't say it, it exists, and you know it. This happens. So dealing with misalignment is saying, look, here's the standards we have. Again, same standards as always. And here are the situations where you're not living up to that, and we're having issues. And we're having honest conversations about it. We're setting out like clear expectations and clear timelines on how we're going to address it. And ultimately, the hard part, it always comes down to you as the leader and having to make that decision to say, I'm going to let this person go because I've done everything I can to coach them back to alignment, and it's not working. And instead of allowing it to go on and on and on and on, you're nipping it in the butt and you're dealing with it. You're not allowing it to resolve itself. You're not allowing them to just leave on their own terms, because your team, they need to see that you're a man of your word. You're a woman of your word. You're a leader of your word. And you're going to do what it takes to make sure that your organization stays aligned. Because if you don't, they will see that, and it will derail your business. It will derail your culture and everything that you've worked so hard to do. And so when we put these procedures and protocols and forms and rhythms into place, basically what we're doing is we're trying to make it so obvious and so apparent that we don't let ourselves slide. And if we do, it's so obvious and it's so uncomfortable, and we have so much guilt about it that we have to do something about it, because if we don't, it will eat us alive. We make it that way on purpose so that it protects ourselves from ourselves. It protects our business from ourselves, because, we have this sinful nature, and it's true. And so we just try to create safeguards that keep us from making the mistakes that we know we don't want to make, but that we will be tempted to. So ultimately, it comes down to making the tough decisions to protect your culture. Because what happens is when, like I said, it's these little compromises along the way, and it's a slow drift. It doesn't happen overnight. And so we make this call, we let this thing slide, we let this other thing slide, and little by little by little, we end up with more and more drift and more dysfunction. But when we put these protocols in place, when we put these rhythms in place, it helps us stay unified, it helps us stay consistent, and it helps us continue to just protect that trust that we have worked so hard for, you know? And the reality is, the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, and he does it through distraction and through compromise. Like, it is death by 1,000 cuts slowly over time. That's the way the enemy works. That's the way the enemy destroys. He steals your peace. He steals your joy. He steals your confidence in your purpose. And a little bit at a time, like very, very slowly, very, very patiently. And it's a constant battle. Like, we are constantly in spiritual warfare. We are constantly like being tempted all the time. And when we have this burden and responsibility of leadership, of a brand, of people's lives that, you know, we are responsible for as leaders, like, you're a target. Your brand is a target. Your business is a target. Your life, your very peace and purpose and identity becomes the target. And I have experienced just firsthand how much like my business has absolutely been a gateway for the enemy to come in and attack my identity, attack my purpose, attack what I believe in, and how much of a fight I have had to put up to fight for what I believe in, when the world is like, what are you doing? Like, this makes more money this way. Like, this is the easier way. Like, compromise here. Like, the world is screaming at me to compromise, but the Holy Spirit is saying, no, like, don't do it. Like, fight for it. Like, yes, it's harder. Yes, the path is narrow, but this is worth it. And if you compromise on this thing, it's going to make the next compromise even easier. Like, don't give yourself an inch. And it's this battle that we face when it comes to living in this world and trying to do business in this world, but not allowing our business to become an idol, not allowing our business to become something that pulls us away from living and leading the way that God intended for us to live and lead. Like, it is remembering that, like, He is the vine, we are the branch. Like, apart from Him, we can do nothing. And He is the one who provides seed for the farmer. Like, He is the one who gives us these opportunities. And, you know, we have to be good stewards of that. We have to remember, like, we have to manage well what we've been given. And he sees that. He sees our heart. He sees the fight that we face, but He also gives us the strength and the opportunity to do it His way, and to not allow the world to influence us and pull us away from the very purpose that He intended for us to have with this business and with the lives of the people that we get to influence. So this accountability piece, it's so important. It's like, when we've done all this work to build this strong foundation, to really align and find unity in our business, then it's a daily discipline. It's a daily fight. It's a daily battle to protect it. But remember, it's like, remember the enemy that we're protecting it against. And it is this unseen world. It is this sinful nature. It is these spiritual forces in this battle to not compromise, to stay the course and to walk that narrow path, and just asking God to give us the wisdom and the discernment and the power to honor Him and to do what He's called us to do. So building these rhythms and routines they make all the difference. Like, if when we're left to our own devices and our own how we feel that day, and I'll remember and I'll make sure I keep it front and center, It's like, let's just make it easier on ourselves. Like, let's just support our future self, right? Let's support our future business, because it's not just about us. It's about our employees. It's about our team and our customers and our family. And they're all impacted by the decisions that we make. So as always, you can learn more at clearauthenticbrands.com. That's all for this episode, and I'll see you in the next one.